All right, James, who do you feel worse for?
Mm.
Leon Edwards or Bilal Muhammad?
Oh man. Bilal Muhammad's going to be okay, right? There's no long-term damage.
Correct. That I know of.
Okay. Because I was thinking about this pre-show and I'm like, is this more fitting for Bilal or Leon as a potential nickname? Remember the eye poke.
Okay.
Maybe it's more fitting for Leon Edwards because he's the one who did the eye poke. Maybe Bilal because he received it. So I don't know. Who do I feel worse for? I don't. You know what? I don't really feel bad. Bilal. Man was crying out in the octagon. Like he seemed to be in some serious. I'm glad he's okay. Obviously, it was funny that Bisping was on. Not funny, but ironic that Bisping is on the broadcast.
Bisbing and Cormier.
That's right. Cormier is also a victim of the Jones eye poke.
The
And
Stipe one.
Stipe too.
Yeah.
So
So with the Peter Yan and Sterling fight, I talked about, oh man, once I saw Sterling laying on his back face up, I was like, this fight's over. When you heard Bilal crying out, did you know it was over?
well, I felt sick. Like I can watch Corey Hill get his
Okay.
tibia chopped in half, and I'm like, all right. For some reason, this one right here, man, the way he was crying out, maybe because there was no crowd or the mics are better or something, it was like so visceral feeling. Like I had a physical reaction to it.
I had the same physical reaction, but for a different reason. And that's because obviously I'm on Leon's nuts. And right when I saw it, I was thinking this guy's cursed. This is crazy.
So that's you use the word curse, and I asked Brother Mark today, and or not today, but when I watched the event in a private chat, I'm like, is Leon Edwards cursed? And I think the answer is yes. And it's probably Conor McGregor's fault somehow.
I agree. Even though I don't believe in curses, I'll still use the term.
Okay. Because like and Edwards, you may have mentioned this, but he really lands at the end of his punches. He has like a great rotation in his shots, and the distance he covers with his hand strikes is pretty fantastic. I'm surprised he doesn't have more finishes.
He I think he plays it safe. Not safe, just plays the numbers. Does I think he's been incrementally improving, and I was dying for him to fight Masvidal because I want to bet Edwards, but that's not going to happen. And he's starting to become a little more popular now with his name, and I was like, shit. But I I was wondering, was Bilal, was he crying out because of the pain, because it was his eye, or because he knew this fight was done? Like, how can I come back from this? This guy, I feel this impact in my eye. It's ridiculous. There's no way I can finish this fight.
It kind of seems like in retrospect that it was like the lost main event opportunity, the way he talked about it, because he's been around a long time, man.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about him for years, and he gets his very first main event. What was it? Was it the second round? Yeah, second round. At the start of the second round, man, he lost two of his first three UFC fights. So you probably think at that point, like, holy shit, I got to put this together or I could be done. Then they give him Randy Brown, who was on Looking for a Fight, a guy you probably think that they want to see rise the ranks due to fighting him on a TV show, right? And he's just been on this amazing tear with just one loss in the longest period of time. So can it be all of the above, the answer?
I don't even know what the question was anymore. I, I was also thinking, how much was he affected by the liver shot or body shot he took with the kick? It looked like it landed, and it was one of those which is not like a rounded kick. It's more of like somewhat a chambered, and it's like a hybrid knee kick, but it looked like it hit him right on the top of the shin bone, Leon's shin bone, into Bilal's body. And I was like, shit, he might have took a devastating liver shot too, and had both of them come together. But the eye thing just trumpet. I don't know. Leon Edwards looked really good. When we got closer to the fight, I was thinking he's going to come out and put on a performance. And then I started watching him. I'm like, oh shit, he looks on. He knows when to disengage. He like played with the distance. He doesn't finish people too often, but I was like, it's going to turn into a semi-clinic, I thought. And then this happened. And that I was like writing down some stuff for the show. Okay, who's gonna, what does this do to his title shot or whatnot? And then boom, late last night, Jorge Masvidal versus Usman 2. What do you think of that?
What do I think? Man, it's a loaded question. I think a lot of things about that. Masvidal has not fought since Usman dispatched of him almost a year ago.
So would you think Colby has a better case to fight Usman since he has beaten an opponent, Woodley?
No.
Masvidal has not.
If Covington had beaten pretty much anybody else in the top 5 or 10, Woodley hasn't won a fight in how long? That was more of like a bad blood. I'm shocked Woodley's fighting again versus Luque. I'm shocked by it. But it's hard to go out, I guess, on a losing streak. But he may have to, because I don't know if he's going to win that fight. But anyway,
Masvidal got this because of his 6 days notice, right?
Yes. And this is also a reward. Well, he didn't have a training camp, but also he helped, quote unquote, save the event. And there's value in that. So.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. I always say that, but you're right. And Colby talks a lot of shit to Dana White, even though it's a shtick, and he says, "Here's your reward."
Do you think if Trump won the election, Colby gets this fight? Well, I guess Jorge is also a Trump supporter, although not as brash as Colby.
So he strips Usman and has Woodley and Covington fight for the title.
Are Jorge and Colby both postcoital? Or is that still going on in court? And can Trump still win in the Supreme Court? I stopped following it like on November, the day after the election. I couldn't take it anymore. Is it still going on? Cousin Frank would know this.
Like some things, I almost feel like if you want to battle them legally, you can battle them till the end of time.
Cousin Frank is like our political correspondent. And like how the Daily Show used to, maybe they still do, but they had correspondents back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, and they weren't really there, but they had like the backdrop, like they were there.
Cousin Frank is still going strong, man. I feel like he was in the Capitol riot and he's in there hiding in there, texting from inside. I hope he's all right. Our fellow proud
Cousin Frank's deep state, man. So I forgot the question as well again this time, but the welterweight division. And, like it's slippery to say stuff like this, but there isn't really someone that jumps out above everybody else as the clear-cut contender. Edwards gets the 3rd round finish there. Maybe he jumps up.
I think if that's why I may feel worse for Edwards. Bilal, it sucks his opportunity, but Edwards goes in, he's trained his ass off. He has all these fights pulled for whatever reasons. And they make it. Like during the post-fight interview, they make the fight between him and Usman. And it's just, he all he had to do was probably get a win because they just needed some activity, some buzz. And it just fell through.
Were they waiting? I wonder. I wish I could be a fly on the wall here, and UFC is offering one contract for Masvidal. He's trying to hold out for leverage, which is his new play. Edwards, no contest. There's no clear-cut contender. That offer increases by 10-20% magically. Masvidal gets his leverage. They sign the paper, and had Edwards won, is that the announcement, or is that fight in the works? Like, I wonder if it was like that close and dependent on the result of that fight, who's fighting Usman.
I have a feeling it was. Do you want to see an Edwards Bilal rematch?
No, hell no.
Should Edwards just fight Thompson now? God, I don't want to see that fight. I like both of those guys, man.
No, and I think they're the next two in line.
Yeah,
Feed Edwards like Demi
wait.
and Meyer or someone. A guy, he's kind of hard to look good against.
Woodley?
Well, I think Woodley's fighting. That was my first thought, but he's fighting Luke on a numbered event coming up.
Okay.
But that was my first thought, actually. But I want to see Woodley get a win and go out on his shield.
Hey, Chiesa is in here.
I know.
Fight Leon Edwards, Mr. Chiesa. I would like that.
Well, I kind of want to see Thompson, Chiesa, and Edwards all go their own separate way, because there's no rising star at welterweight coming down the pipeline for a title shot, as far as I can tell. And I could be wrong. I know sometimes people come out of nowhere and that's what happens. But looking at the rank, because did Jeff Neal?
He lost to Thompson.
Right, exactly. Okay, so he did lose recently. Yeah, Chiesa is the rising star at welterweight.
Yes, and Leon Edwards he's like a very long rising star.
Oh yeah, it's been a slow burn.
Yes,
like he needs about 40 minutes of foreplay to get fully risen, right? Okay. Whereas me, it's like the wind blows and I'm there. I would be on a meteoric rise. Like I hit the division but I fall off quickly. I'm like Dan Hardy, basically.
That's my favorite adjective of yours, meteoric, by the way. I'm going to have that engraved on your gravestone. When I was watching the UFC, my kids were kind of doing some stuff, and my oldest son looks and he says, "Oh, that guy's fighting again?" And he was pointing to Bilal Muhammad. He thought Bilal Muhammad was Dan Ige. He was so sure there. He's like, "No, I watched him. He fought earlier." And I was like, "No, son, that's Dan Ige."
Now, was that Braxton or Talon?
That was Braxton.
Because in fairness to Braxton, Dan Ige wasn't on the screen too long. Like it was like just a quick view of him, and he was gone.
Dan Ige, for those who don't know, I say Dan Ige, and I say it really quick because I practiced it kind of for my girlfriend, because I tried to convince her. I did convince her that was his middle name, or that was his nickname, and he was kind of promoting that gay thing. And I don't even know if she knows it anymore, but Dan Ige must have got the memo and said, "All right, let me dispatch your boy who you've been talking high about, Gavin Tucker, and give me that $50K nickname back." And I said, "Yes, sir." I bowed, I kissed his feet, and I said, "Here you go."
The main card of this event delivered, man.
Gavin Tucker, right when I was excited about the Cub Swanson fight, and then it switched to Ige, and I was like, "Oh, I'm big on him," but it was just that little bit too high. And I wanted that Cub fight first. And then this fight happens. I'm not saying it's fluky, but there's some fluky aspect to it. But he just gets dispatched. And I'm like, oh God, I hope he can come back from this mentally or whatnot.
So you don't see a lot of guys or girls go out cold on that kind of a shot, straight down the pipe. Is it because Tucker was moving forward and kind of throwing? And like, did that make him leave his chin up a little bit? Because I didn't even see it happen, honestly. Like I'm watching the fight as close as I fucking can, right here where I'm sitting right now, 1 foot from my screen. And I'm like, what happened? I had to watch the replay. I didn't even see what happened there.
It was like Paul Buentello and Andre Arlovsky. Yeah. Or Arlovsky and Fedor. It's just a combination of him mid-throw, technique, right spot, right place. Everything just went right. And all I could think of is right when it happened was, son of a bitch. And then I just thought, 50K. It's just fitting, man. He's getting 50K right now. So I thought whatever. I don't even know what I want to say.
Is that what he is there a play on that? 50K Ige? Because it kind of rhymes.
Yeah, I mean that's his nickname.
Oh, that's his nickname.
Yeah, his nickname is not Hige.
It's you motherfucker.
Well, it's not Hige. It can't be Hige.
It could be a play on the original definition of gay as like a happy-go-lucky human.
Oh, I like that.
We have a client named Gay.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Oh, and then I was like, oh, that's fitting. And then I was kind of upset about Tucker losing. So Bisping and Cormier start saying, oh my God, how fast is this fight? 1, 2, 3. I'm like, what the fuck is their problem, man? I start taking Gavin Tucker getting smoked out on Cormier and Bisping. I'm like, who the fuck are they? First of all, they're watching the fight from the beginning of the replay, and then they're counting for the slow-mo. I was just going crazy. I'm glad nobody heard me or I didn't go on social media for it.
I got so confused there. Cause fight was 6 seconds, and I'm like, am I like in a time warp?
You were saying like 3, 4, or 5 seconds. Like they realize the fight starts before the first exchange happens, right?
Well, so the I forgot the guy. It wasn't Anik. It was the other guy, Fitzgerald. Did he comment like he's like, yo, that was the first exchange, not like when the fight started.
And he could see that there is a fucking clock right in the replay. There is literally a clock in the replay. It's kind of a new thing that they're doing. So it's facing inside the octagon so the fighters can see it and I have to look up, or maybe the fans can see it too. Well, no, it's on the TV anyway, but you can see it right in there. But I'm glad Fitzgerald or Anik or whoever mentioned it.
Are the commentators, are they stuck on the island for weeks at a time, like with no outlet? It probably makes you go a little bit loopy there because
no, that's Apex. That's Apex.
Oh, they're at the Apex?
The other island. I think Sterling versus Jan is going to go down as this turning point in UFC/MMA. And that is fighters and doctors will kind of call the fight more often. And I'm in reference to what the hell was ya boy thinking? Not your boy, but just everybody's boy, Eric Anders.
And that fight was it was good, man. Well, it lasted. I don't know what happened there.
I almost think he was fatigued, maybe, but right when it hit, I immediately started thinking of Sterling and Jan. That's what everybody thought of, but I started thinking this fight might get called now. The precedent is going to change, and it has, I think. Well, and then it did with Bilal and Edwards.
Yeah, because
the doctor would just say, okay, here, can you see? And he would just wait till you got his fingers right. How many am I holding up? And he would just ask and ask and ask till you got it right, and then you would fight again.
And the ref would lead the fighter. You ready? Just shut the fuck up. If they have max time, go take a piss break. Like, give the fighter max time. Like, I don't want to see the fighter return in a compromised state because you know how it is, man. If anybody's waiting on you for anything, you feel pressure to get going.
And to the refs, the commission, whoever, I feel like they've improved. And they don't rush as much anymore. And now the doctors are starting to say, no. It's like the fighter, like, give me a wink, blink twice if that's a yes, so you don't have to say it. And then they call it.
Do you think we'll see an illegal knee DQ in the next event? Like, this is quite the streak.
I'm hoping. I'm cheering for one.
I actually am too, man.
Just not hoping nobody gets injured, and maybe it's
Agree.
not a guy I really want to win. So
agree.
All right. That's all I got for that event. Rank these fight announcements and denouncements.
And so Woodley, Luque, right? First one.
Did we already do that one?
I don't remember, man.
I think we already did that. I'm taking out Usman Masvidal too, because we already talked about it. So there are 6. You ready?
Yeah.
Paulo Costa out versus Robert Whittaker is number 1. Number 2 is Robert Whittaker versus Mas Empanadas, Mr. Gastelum. Number 3, Tony Ferguson versus Benilderius. Number 4, Weili Zhang versus Rose Namajunas. Number 5, Donald Cerrone versus Diego Sanchez. What was that? Why did your eyes? You gotta wear sunglasses.
I requested this fight.
Oh shit!
Didn't I?
You. I think so. And number 6, Edson Barboza versus Shane Burgos.
So is Donald Cerrone officially a JFL participant now?
Yes. Or are these guys fighting for the title? Or are they fighting to get out of this? Or are they fighting to face Clay Guida?
Or Jim Miller, who are the long-standing OGs of the JFL. And then, shout out to Joe Lozon, one of the founding members of the JFL.
Yeah.
I think there's one more too. I'm drawing a blank on who it is.
There's a ton.
Cerrone Sanchez as my number 1.
Okay.
This is the fight that we need to see from these two people.
What position on a card do you want to see it? A prelims headliner? Or you want to see this on the main card? It is on a fight night.
It's on a fight night. This is a Coco for a fight night.
I'm wondering if it's going to be the headliner.
Might be Co. I'd be happy with Co or Coco.
Okay.
You need a fight night headliner with people trending up toward a title shot.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. I think this is a numbered event, main event.
Now, numbered event, have it open the main card. I'm all for that. This is a numbered event main card opener.
Okay.
Do we know what it actually is currently?
Not seeing anything yet.
That's the fight everyone needs and everyone wants. It really is. So when I saw Whittaker's fighting Gastelum, I'm like, did I already see this fight?
I think the main event at first might have been Holly Holm versus Juliana Pena.
Number 7.
No, the fight is no longer happening.
For the next card?
No, for the fight night that Sanchez and Cerrone are on.
Okay, which fight night is that?
Fight night, May 8th. All right, so is there a clear number 2 for you?
Yes.
What is that?
Whittaker versus Gastelum.
Okay. Why?
I prefer this fight over Whittaker versus Costa. When their original fight was announced, I was so fucking pumped for Gastelum versus Whittaker. Like, they have 2 of the fastest hands in the middleweight division. I think it's going to be a hell of an exciting fight. I am curious about the short-term notice. Will Mas Apanadas even make weight? I think it's unlikely.
I think he's better now. He's been good lately, I think.
Paul, circling back to this Cerrone Sanchez card, they look like the clear headliner to me based on what I'm looking at.
I think they're going to be the headliner, man.
Yeah. I mean,
you love the fight, so this is great for you. This is your event of the year.
This card's a tough finale, it looks like. Anyway, okay. So Whittaker Gastelum, man, I'm pumped for this fight.
So does that make Costa out versus Whittaker number 3 because it provided you with Whittaker versus Mas Empanadas?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
100% it does. I didn't really care about that fight. I'm not going to lie. Like, I would have watched it with enjoyment, but to me, and I think Costa needs more time, man. I know it was the wine, but he's in a powerful post-coital rip current right now. And that current is going to drag him down for a long time. He needs more recovery, man. He needs more recovery.
Number 4.
These 6 fights here, this is the best ranking you've ever given me on the show. Like, these could all be tied for like 3 or 2, honestly.
I would like to take credit, but it's up to the MMA gods, so I will make some form of sacrifice for them.
Number 4, I feel like Dana White's words here are messing with me because he said it. Zhang versus Thug Rose is the fight everyone's been waiting for. Is that true? Because now I feel like, I have been waiting for this fight. That's right. I have been for a long time.
This might have been my number 1. The fact that I get to see Robert Whittaker, who's one of my favorite fighters, that he still gets to fight instead of not seeing him fight is my other possible number 1. So I'm not sure. Zhang and Rose is a good fight.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's my number 4. Number 5, Barboza versus Burgos.
So why is that ahead of?
I love Hurricane Shane, dude. That guy, every fight that he's in feels like a fight of the night.
That's going to be a good fight. Damn. Barboza's got that new hair. He's down at, what is he? Is this flyweight, right? Because he might fight Davison next.
Flyweight. Featherweight.
Yeah, I know. I was joking.
Okay. I thought you might have been.
I hope the people listening realized it.
Thing is, Ferguson Dariush is that's the perfect fight for Dariush. I know he's coming off of a win and Ferguson off of a loss, but Ferguson's been a mainstay title contender for the longest time. And he's lost to Gaethje and Charles Oliveira, 2 guys who are on tears. So it doesn't lose the same shine as someone who's number 14 coming off of 2 losses in a row. So this feels like the perfect fight for him to see if he can kind of crack into that like top 8. I don't know where he's even ranked. He feels like though a guy should be ranked like 8 to 15.
Dariush?
Yeah.
He is number 9.
Perfect.
Look at that. All right. Which fight has a better chance of being fight of the night? Tony Ferguson versus Benilderius or Edson Barboza versus Shane Burgos? I'm only saying that because they are both on UFC 262.
They are? Well, let's just look at the numbers here. 3 out of 7 for Burgos. Barboza is 1 out of 4. So what is that?
I think
I'm not going to add fractions here.
I think just Tony Ferguson being in the fight almost makes his fight a favorite for being fight of the night.
And I feel like Dariush has been in a lot of great fights lately too.
Yeah, he has. He's a fight of the night. Well, then he missed weight, which is upsetting. But then he has 3 straight performance of the nights. But Tony Ferguson, he takes it and receives it, which makes the fight more likely to get fight of the night.
Well, Dariush
in all of his fights,
4 out of 5 fights, a bonus. Okay, Tony Ferguson, he's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10.
Yes, and one of those, he got a triangle choke on Kevin Lee. And is Tony Ferguson's arm okay? I'm picking Dariush because I don't think Tony Ferguson's arm is healed.
Tony Ferguson is Woodley. Just at the top too long. You kind of hit that peak of age. You're on the downslope of your career. I don't know if he wins this fight or not, but him and Tyron Woodley are both they're on the exit ramp of their career. At least fighting people in maybe they go down Cerrone route, and you kind of fight former teammates that were good 10 years ago, in like fun fights, which I'm not against.
I will say Dariush lays it all out on the line, so there is a chance he gets caught.
Yeah, that's like making number 5 is like painful. That's a hell of a fight there.
Yeah, I know. That is a great little set of rankings. Okay, this weekend, UFC on ESPN, Brunson versus Holland. Almost said Cisco.
Real quick, one more thing here. Of those 6 fights you gave me, and obviously one is a non-fight, so it doesn't really count. So of those 5 fights, I bet we see at least 4 bonuses. Whittaker, Gastelum have fighting that potential. All right. So does Zhang Thug Rose. So does Ferguson Dariush. So does Cerrone Sanchez. We just looked at the card.
Yeah, and they have the performance of the night opportunities also.
Yeah, so I would say on those 5 fights we're going to see 4 bonuses. That's the floor.
All right. So if Holland dispatches Brunson, are we going to see him versus Adesanya?
Are they this weekend?
Yes.
I tell you, man, the next fight is the time to fight Adesanya. He's post-coital, man.
So, you know how right when that happened to Edwards, I was like, oh, there's his shot, gone. And then Costa pulls out versus Whittaker, and I was like, damn, Whittaker's shot's gone. Now it's going to be up to whoever. The Darren Till is somehow going to get the title shot. But that's what I believe when I go to sleep. I have nightmares about it, but nothing against him, but something against him. But luckily this came back. Whittaker is back on track, and there was nothing I would want more than Whittaker to derail Adesanya. It is a little bit less sweet since Jan has derailed Adesanya somewhat. I know it in a different weight class, but it's not as crazy, as sexy as it.
Yeah, with the Darren Till thing, he hasn't won 2 fights in a row in almost 3 years.
He somehow is always 1 fight away from a title shot, and he'll just move up to 205, and he's gonna somehow beat Jan, and then he's gonna move up, and he's gonna lose to Cyril Gane.
Yeah, and I feel like every other week he's on a video chat with somebody on my Instagram feed, and the phone is like inches from his face. And I'm like, he gets me every time, man, with his accent, the shit he says. Like he had the Yo Romero thing recently.
The Mike Perry thing. And an accent, come on, man. An accent gets me every time. A girl immediately goes up 2 numbers with an accent.
So Till goes up 2 rankings.
An
Based on his
accent is like
accent.
an accent is like 2 cup sizes to me.
And Darren Till is 4 officially on the rankings. Due to accent, he's number 2. So yeah, he's 1 fight away.
Somehow he's above Whittaker, even though he just lost to him.
Well, Whittaker's number 1 on these rankings, so but maybe they're tied. I don't know how it works, man.
That's because Whittaker has an accent.
This is true, and a lot of kids. I think if so, number 1 accent of those 2, Till. Number 1 dad, Whittaker. We've heard Till's takes on fatherhood. He kind of my take. I'd be more of an absentee dad. Like, just send me a monthly child support bill. Let me take care of him financially. Let me live my life. That's kind of how I would approach fatherhood.
You like your parenting like you like your elections, absentee.
Exactly.
I wanted to somehow incorporate ballot there or whatnot. Who loves pregnancy more, me or Robert Whittaker? He could make an argument that he likes it more.
Yeah, I wonder if just, maybe, I don't know. That they might have landed wrong. I'm gonna pull out on this joke I was gonna tell and just circle back, and let's get back on track here.
Yeah, let's not say anything bad about Sophia.
That may have landed wrong there.
Okay. Where was I? I was Kevin Holland versus Brunson. What are you thinking? Have you thought about the fight? Do you have a winner?
Kevin Holland is ranked number 10. For the integrity of the sport,
Why am I mentioning that he has a possibility of fighting Adesanya next? Am I a complete idiot for saying that?
No, I think he's talked himself into it. I think he's talked himself into the conversation. Him and Adesanya have had like a little back and forth a few times. But
I wouldn't mind seeing Holland versus Till now.
That would actually be an enjoyable lead up to the fight.
That would be better than Brunson versus Holland or Till versus Vettori.
Is Till fighting Vettori?
Yes.
When is that? Did we rank that? There's been a lot of announcements recently. I don't think we ranked that, but maybe we did.
I don't know. It's been for a while. April 10th.
Okay. So that's in 4 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, that should be good. Okay. Middleweight division's shaking up a little bit, or shaping up. Yeah, I could definitely, because somehow Vettori and Till have risen to the top of middleweight contender conversation. So I could see their winner jumping past Whittaker, even if Whittaker beats Gastelum.
Wait, Adesanya cleaned out the division. There is no more middleweight. He's at the top of middleweight, like Nunes is at the top of women's featherweight. There are. I
was going to ask you, who cleaned out their respective division more effectively, Nunes or Adesanya at middleweight?
Nunes went and said she didn't clean out the division. She prevented the decision from having contenders.
She's like birth control.
She's preventative medicine, correct?
Yeah. Is she a condom? Is she like the monthly pill?
She's a hysterectomy.
Okay. You know what? Mic drop. Nailed it right there, man. She's removed the ovaries and fallopian tube from women's featherweight division.
She's not the lioness. She's Amanda, the hysterectomy Nunes.
I love that nickname, actually. That's really good.
So okay. Kevin
Holland should not jump past all these people ahead of him.
But what if he finishes Brunson and has a superb post-fight interview? And we all know that a post-fight interview can move you up in the rankings.
Yeah, so if he wins a decision, he probably goes up to number 7.
Can I just say something? I'm so sorry I got to interrupt you here. I don't want a post-fight interview where DC or whoever tries to get these guys to do this WWE bullshit.
Hey, I'm
Kind of
with you.
like Michael Chandler's, I get it and everything, but that doesn't sell me for the, oh my God, he really wants to fight that next guy. I can accept it on some entertainment aspect, but I want some serious shit talking. And I think Kevin Holland would deliver it.
Yeah, he has a good interview natural person persona. Okay, so if he has a great performance and a great post-fight performance, they'll probably find a way to bump Costa due to him pulling out. You have the Vittori till loser will drop down a little bit. So I could see Holland getting the top 4 to 5. Great performance, great post-fight performance.
He needs Gastelum to win and somehow Till and Vittori to have a disqualification. And then he's going to get the title shot.
I could see Till and Vittori's pace disqualifying itself.
It could possibly be a boring fight. And if one of them wins like a split decision, maybe it's not as sexy. What about the fight itself, Holland versus Brunson? I mean, we're just kind of talking past Brunson right now. My man has put it back together.
He looks way better. Which camp did he join recently? And was that GSP's former camp?
Yeah, he's now with Orange Theory. So
they, in the notes on Wikipedia, they got to add switched camps to this camp. Because I can't remember all these camp switches. Did he join the Jackson Wink? Did he join Faraz up in Montreal? Did he fucking go to, I don't know if he went to Stipe's camp. I know he switched camps and went somewhere though. But ever since then, he's kind of put it together, man. People slept on him versus Shabazian, and he had one of his best performances to date in that fight.
Yeah.
This kind of has a feel though of the lead up to Brunson versus Adesanya.
Oh, it's showing Sanford MMA, which is
didn't Fred start that in the 80s?
I wanted to say, for some reason, I wanted to say DraftKings. I don't know why. Something's going on in my subconscious. Maybe I'm having a stroke. This is not a DraftKings commercial. If anything, DraftKings hate me because I said families are going to be ruined because of all this new betting, and I stand by it. And Sanford is Henry Hooft, right? Usman, Black Zillions, whatever.
That's the thing is, coaches change camps and then form new ones like out of thin air. I can't keep track of them all, man. When I was 29, I could remember everything about sports. I could name every baseball, all these things. Now at 39, I'm like, I barely remember the weekend's fights.
So he's there, Sanford MMA, and, Usman's camp. So when I watch this, this new Brunson, this patient Brunson trying to incorporate his lunge forward style, your favorite fight was him versus Whittaker. And
well, just for reference, he sprinted across the cage and dragged his knuckles along the canvas trying to land a bomb.
He does have a way of having kind of that thoracic flexion, but also that cervical flexion where his chin is really forward.
I don't want to hear his lats are too tight. That's why. Too many lat pull downs, man. Too many pull ups. I guarantee it.
So I see it, but when I watch him fight, it's effective, but it doesn't seem as smooth and effortless and natural to me. Mm-hmm. And that's affecting me a little bit, but he still has that power. He's still an athletic wrestler where I almost think he can just go from one and compartmentalize them and go back and forth. But the problem is, and I think I did put Brunson versus Coach Edmond's son, but Holland showed me that he can fight off his back and he can KO off his back. Do I look at that fight? Do I take something from that fight, James? Or do I say that's a 51-year-old Jacare? Or do I say that 49-year-old Jacare KO'd Brunson?
Because Jacare KO Brunson not too recently, right?
A couple years, I think.
And that was when
2018.
Jacare was so close to a title shot there too. He almost got that long-awaited title shot, and then oh no, he beat him after Whittaker. Never mind. Fuck that. You know what? I take nothing from the Jacare fight except that Holland has the ability to finish you with acrobatics. Because like
does it show you he has the ability to not get dominated on his back?
That too. And this fight probably isn't going to the ground.
Brunson, he switches it up though. If Holland, comes forward too much, he goes for those takedowns. He did it versus Edmund.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what the betting line is here. Because Brunson is a step up in competition. He's also improving.
It is Holland minus 170, Brunson plus 150.
Yeah, I think Brunson is a live dog here, but maybe Holland's just special. He's that special talent who, even if Brunson's getting the better of him, he has like that. Remember Brian Ortega on his run up the division in featherweight? He'd be losing a fight, but then get that submission or that finish.
Like,
is Holland kind of special, where even if he's losing the fight, can he finish you from a multitude of different positions and win it regardless? And then once his technique catches up to that, is he going to be a big problem? I think I'm going Holland based on that alone. Is just that ability to be dynamic and get a different kinds of finishes.
I like it. I am also going with Holland, and the last fight sold me and is affecting me. Plus him being Travis Luter's son is affecting me because I was obsessed with Travis Luter, and I think he gets you in the mount no matter what the situation, and then eventually he can lose to you. But
there was like a 6-year stretch there, maybe it was 4 years, where Travis Luter mounting Anderson Silva came up like on every 6 to 12 week basis.
And then he just mounted everyone else he fought with, and then he went into other fight organizations, just mounts you. And then he just gets tired, and he's like, he's just like a chill guy. He's kind of like Ryan Hall. Ryan Hall is his son.
It's true.
But Brunson I would normally in this situation pick someone like Brunson, this veteran, putting it together, changing his game. He's not switching to a new camp right away. He's been there for a couple fights or whatnot. He kind of has that wrestling ability to hold you down. But Holland, and then it can maybe tire you out. What's slightly making me pick Holland a little more, and this is going to sound stupid, is that he's skinny. And by the fact that he's skinny, you could look at it as he could get held down a little bit, maybe even like Adesanya versus Jan.
Or maybe it's like John Jones, quote unquote, John Jones or Adesanya skinny. Maybe it's like, is it like that where they're like, he looks skinny, but he's still powerful and he has
leverage? Think he's powerful. I don't think he's as strong as those guys, maybe, but I think he's that skinny where he's not going to get tired. Almost like a Diaz skinny, sort of. But he's shown me he's competent off his back. He seems almost fearless. And I think he's going to the thing that's going to make the difference is him being able to create exchanges. And like Holland's losses are 2 submissions, 3 decisions. He's going to create these exchanges, and that's where I think Brunson, a majority of his losses are TKO, KO. But I will give it to him; they are to beasts. His UFC losses are Adesanya, Jacare, Silva, Whittaker, Romero. And that worries me a little bit with my pick, but I think those exchanges are going to happen, and Holland is going to end up on top of those. But I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, if Brunson won, because he is a powerful athlete and he can exchange and put you away. Just
true. Yeah, Brunson's losses kind of firmly put him into the great keeper status, because, and even like the Silva fight that he lost, I thought he won the fight. It was close. It was a real interesting fight. Not a lot of action. So, that was Adesanya near his peak. Whittaker as he was rising to his peak, and Jacare just before he kind of fell off a little bit and got older.
Well, so we suck. We both picked the same guy. Everybody turned it off because they're hoping we'd pick someone else, but we didn't. Any other? Oh, my man, Sir Gregor Clegane Gillespie is back. I love him.
Whenever he comes up, I just picture somebody hanging on like a tire swing and swinging back and forth, but that's you actually on Gregor's nuts, not an actual tire swing.
Yes, and there's different levels to nut hanging, and it's just like, there's that romance stage with the girl, but then there's that lasting love where, okay, you've had a few years, you solidified it, you guys are connected. And that's like me and Robert Whittaker, me and Amanda Nunes. That's that we're like married. Obviously, yeah. I'm a polygamist. But then there's these different levels where, under that is kind of like Volkanovski. Like Gavin Tucker is like early. Like I was seeing him at one point. I had Volkanovski there, and I just started falling more and more in love with him, seeing him develop. So I don't hang off all these guys the same.
Let me give the perfect example here. Okay. It's like when you're a junior in high school and the incoming freshman girls come in and you spot a couple. You're like, all right, she's pretty nice. She's pretty nice. Let's see. Oh, she has a boyfriend. Okay, we'll see. And then that freshman starts to develop. Before you know it, you're at the same party. And then you kind of get to that next stage where you take it to the next level. And that's kind of where you are with Tucker and Gillespie. They're the incoming freshmen. You got your eye on them. You're watching them develop. And once they mature to that appropriate development, that's when you kind of go all in and you pounce.
Now, Gillespie, if I am more in on Gillespie than I am Tucker. Gillespie, I'm big on. And sorry, we might have broke up for a little bit after this KO loss to Lee, but he hasn't
fought. You were on spring break.
He hasn't fought on. Well, I went on longer than that. I moved to a different state, man. He was November of 2019. I need to see him fight more frequently. So Gillespie is up there. But there's the new girl in town is Cerrone. I don't know what happened to me. It's just, you ever know, it's the king, I forget his name, but he ran off with, he abdicated or whatever for some divorcee. I forget his damn name.
Oh, George. No. That's King George's brother.
I think so.
So Queen Elizabeth's dad, I believe, took over as king when his brother abdicated the throne because of the divorce. I'm pretty sure it's Queen Elizabeth's uncle.
Something to that effect. That's me with Cerrone. They're like, what's wrong with this guy? And she must have wrote him like he has never been ridden.
Sorry. You abdicated your bone. Not the same as the throne. Maybe this would apply better if they were women. I don't know, man.
But somehow I took the throne with me. They're like, well, the throne is, he abdicated, but the throne is gone. Where is it? Where's the chair?
We're working on content here, man. We're spitballing. Cerrone's like that freshman who comes in perfectly developed.
Dude,
she was eating more of that antibiotic hormone-rich lunch meat in junior high or something. Whatever happened, but she hit in 9th grade, guns, cannons ablazing, and she's ready for that mature man to step in and take care
I
of her.
mean, I'll bite on your perverted theme. I mean, Cyril Gahn has me looking up the statutory rape laws right now. Like, okay, Michigan, where does he live? He lives in, is it Quebec or is he over in there in France? Where is he now? I'm gonna make a flight. I have my COVID vaccinations. Can I go over there to Europe? We're gonna see. Or do I need,
you know what? Update us. I need updates on this.
or do I need to go to take him to Cambodia and we live with Gary Glitter?
I was like, what's that country where there's like no laws? And the Gary Glitter reference, that's a I don't want to call that a blast from the past, but that's a throwback right there. Because we did like a Gary Glitter deep dive on the show.
If people who have listened for a long time, they will love this right now, especially because Cambodia is a pedophile's paradise. And we went on this Gary Glitter rant, and I watched everything I possibly could on Gary Glitter, and it was great.
For those who don't know, Cambodia's travel phrase is pedophile's paradise. That's their slogan to try to entice you to vacation there.
It's on the flag.
It's definitely not the city in Cambodia where it has the highest level of danger to travel to. I think that's the capital, or is that another country? I lose track of
capital is what, Phnom Penh or whatnot.
Also a double P. Like,
oh, it's
not a coincidence. Let me just give not a bonus to Gillespie, but just make note of it. I love that he's taken so much time off after that devastating loss.
There's another person I'm obsessed with, and I don't want to cut you off there. I love when you give guys like Gillespie bonuses, but I'm also obsessed with another guy in the show on this card, and his name is Leonardo Santos. Leonardo. I don't know why I said it like that. Whatever. He's not Leonardo. You're Leonardo if you're Italian. If you're Brazilian, you're Leonardo for me. Okay. The guy never loses.
And I love how old he is.
I mean,
my favorite stat is his age, not his no loss streak.
His last loss is 2009. He has not lost in the UFC. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0-1. His one draw to Norman Park. And he is 41 years old.
And just for context, since April or August, can I even fucking speak here? Since October of 2016, he's fought 2 times. However, he's about to fight a second time like in 9 months, and that's his best run in like half a decade.
He's going to lose now. He hasn't had enough time to recover. When you get older, you need more recovery time.
Correct. 100%, man.
Or he's the next champion. He's going to lose devastatingly, or he's the next champion. Only those 2 things. Lock.
I think he's on one of the greatest tears in lightweight history.
I like it. Pound for pound. All right, we're done with that crap. Customizable portion of the show. Turn it off anytime after this point. Still considered as listening to the entire show. This cannot be held against us. It's only bonus points. Paul's top 5 of the week. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they suck. Sometimes you learn something.
Sometimes I change the ranking.
Yeah, you do. I do have you re-rank them every time. Hey, remember how you said for last week, it was Larsa, my girlfriend, her items book ended. Is that what you said?
I think it was 1, 3, and 5.
Yes, but you used the term book ended, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's the UFC book ended with no contest on their last main card.
Did they?
So yeah,
that's right. They did.
So maybe there's something to it.
It's like we're like in a period of time of firsts. We're getting back to back DQ by knees. We're bookending main cards with DQs. Something they need your boy, not your boy.
Okay.
They need your boy, Shoeface, on this next card, or because like, and too bad Yoel's gone. Because if you had Shoeface and Yoel on future cards, we would just continue seeing greater shenanigans.
Oh, I would love it. All right. Number 5, lorikeet.
How do you spell this?
Lorikeet.
Is this a bird?
Yes, it's a bird. And just type in lorikeet bird and look up images. I never knew this bird existed, and I just heard about it, and I think it is absolutely beautiful. Seriously.
So, speaking of streaks, you've now mentioned beautiful birds, I believe, 2 weeks in a row. Because you brought up the another bird.
The secretary bird. That's right.
Yeah. So you're like on a bird kick.
I'm not a birdist, but I like animals. So, when I come across something, I want to share this bird. Are you looking at pictures of this bird?
It has like a built-in red or orange scarf almost. Like like from the front view of it, it looks like a scarf in some of these. It's really cool looking. But then it seems like there's many different color palettes for it. Am I wrong here? Yeah, there's a musk lorikeet, there's a little lorikeet, there's a rainbow lorikeet, and there's a scaly breasted lorikeet.
This rainbow lorikeet is where it's at. All right, so that's it. That's number 5. Number 4. Okay. So I'm at my dad's house, couple of margaritas. We're talking about like when I went to Florida with my dad and my stepmom when I was like 10 or whatever. She brought out the book that had the pictures in it. And then we start seeing pictures in that section of my little brother, who is like 10 years younger than me or whatnot. And we're seeing some of the same areas or whatnot. And he's looking almost around the same age as when I went. So Larsa was kind of confused. And, my stepmom had to say, no, these weren't from the same trip. And she says, well, what happened? And she said, when my younger brother, Jacob, he got those pictures and went in because he went on a separate trip with my stepmom and her girlfriend to Florida, to some of the same places. And when they got the pictures, he went in there and put those pictures of when he went. So it looked like he went with us.
At the same age that you are.
Yes.
That's wild.
And
that's pretty cool, actually.
And Larsa, and that's what I started thinking. And Larsa was like, we're driving home. I had her drive because I had too much to drink. And, I'm good to drive for about up to 10 drinks. But
I drive to, Kristen drives from. That's kind of our rule of thumb when we go out places.
I concur for me. And she's like, that's funny and also kind of sad. I was like, oh, why? Well, he went there. He wants to feel like he's being there. They get the picture where you hold your arms in the wood thing and your head in the wood thing, like you're captured like a damn pirate or whatnot. But also that you guys didn't go, like your dad didn't take them and you didn't go there with them or whatnot. So it's also sad. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. I don't know where I was going with that.
This is the show of recurring themes because margaritas at your dad's is also a recurring theme.
Yeah, that's definitely a lock now.
So
at least
it's like certain fighters aren't going the distance. Big Paul has margaritas when Paul and Larsa come over.
Correct. And he makes sure and has it, wants me to try new margarita or new tequila, all that crap.
Oh,
So,
well, what have you, because Kristen's on tequila now. Let me share a quick tequila story, okay?
all right.
So, quick context, Kristen and I moved to South Carolina. When we were house hunting, we found a realtor down here. We found a house, whatever, and he bought us tequila shots I believe it's called Casa Azul. Okay. You ever hear this tequila? Okay. Well,
I don't
so
think
we're like, all right, we're still in Michigan. We go to a local party store, and I'm like, all right, we picked up some Don Julio Reposado that Kristen likes. And I'm like, all right, and we'll do a pint of Casa Azul. So we go to check out, and the guy's like, all right, that'll be $182. And I'm like, what the fuck? And this Casa Azul is like $150 for a pint of tequila. Now, here's the kicker. Kristen doesn't even like it. She prefers the Don Julio Reposado. So we have this expensive pint of tequila, which I guess we'll just give to guests. Like, oh, you like tequila? Try this Casa Azul. She doesn't even like it. I'm still on IPAs and wine, so it's just sitting there. But we have this really expensive pint of Casa Azul in our liquor cabinet.
This is a really long and smooth way of trying to get me and Larsa to come down there to visit. Bravo, buddy. Because I'm looking it up and I can just taste it right now.
Yeah, I need to try it again. So Kristen has been drinking margaritas like this, where she'll usually do an ounce of tequila, a tablespoon of lemon juice, or lime juice, and she'll salt the shit out of it, and she sips it kind of slowly. That's it.
Yep. That's what my dilution rate has definitely gone down.
So there you go. Casa Azul. Yeah.
And all right. I like it.
It might be Claza Azul or Casa. I don't know if the L is silent.
Clase Azul, it looks like something like that. All right. The next three somewhat tie together. Okay. Number 3 is a clock. It's a clock that I've known about. I've used once in a while, but I brought it up around some people. They were fascinated about it. And I got to remember that not everybody knows about this, but the world population counter.
Oh, yeah.
So there's one on the census.gov/pop clock /
Yeah.
and it's the US and world population clock. And for you to just watch it just consistently, do you know, without looking at it, do you know the world population?
Is it in the billions?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say it's somewhere between 3 and 5 billion. No. Between 6 and 8 billion. I believe it's around 7 for some reason. That kind of like calls to me.
So I remember it being like 6 billion. Then just enough time passed where it's 7.75 billion.
Wow. So when COVID first came on, the Worldometer website started doing COVID as well. And that's how I discovered the world population clock.
Okay.
Worldometers.info or whatever, but Worldometer. And yeah, watching the births for the day go up, it's kind of mesmerizing, man.
So what about the US population? Do you know that?
I believe it's like between 3 and 400 million.
330 million.
Listen, man, this is like my fucking 1918 right here, man.
Mr.
Don't ask me any more questions, please.
James Romanov here. 1 birth every 9 seconds in the US, 1 death every 11 seconds. So the net gain of 1 person every 40 seconds. But the world one is just tick, 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 and it's just going up. And I had talked to this one guy I'll try to talk to older people and extract as much information as possible. And I watch a bunch of old shit too. Not old movies, because I really don't care for them. Well, depending on how old, but neither here nor there. Talking to him about traveling and how he would go to these different places, went to California in the 1960s or 70s and this and that. And we started talking about just how there's more people everywhere. So started looking up the world population during when you were born or whatnot. Can you guess the world population when you and I were born?
Okay, so that was 1981. It's 40 years ago. Fuck. My guess is it's under 2 billion.
4.5 billion. And now it is 7.5 billion.
So maybe I forget this phenomenon, but I believe it's called peak human. And what that means is only one country or continent will have an increase in population for like the next 100 years, and that's Africa. But every other continent will see their population decrease over that same period of time. But Africa's growth isn't enough to grow the world population. So, but like based on this counter, it doesn't seem like that's accurate or not. So maybe because there's a lot more births and deaths over the course of the year, it says the growth has been 16 million. Or maybe we're approaching peak human, and in the next 20 or 30 years, we're going to see these numbers shift and there'll be more daily deaths than births. But I believe it's called peak human. Are you familiar with this phenomenon that's going to occur soon?
No, but I've read some different stuff on like population growth and all that and how it could level off or whatnot, or wait till a meteor comes through, or we'll see.
But yeah, these the counters are fascinating, man. There's also one I believe about like
hold on. So
you have more counters.
That's number 3, the world population counter.
Okay.
Number 2 was one I brought up at my job, and I would ask people this, which is the U.S. debt counter. Don't look it up.
Just gonna mention that one.
Don't look it up. I want you to guess the U.S. national debt.
And it's in the trillions, right?
Maybe.
So does it go million, billion, then trillion?
Yes.
Okay.
Then quadrillion.
Fuck. So it's close to a trillion is my guess. Either slightly above or slightly below. But I'm guessing it's within a couple 100 billion of a trillion.
As of right now, I'm looking at it. $28 trillion.
Holy shit.
And that's another counter. This one is usdebtclock.org. And I just had this up at work, and I would just come by. People would walk by, and I'd be like, hey, what's up? What do you think the U.S. debt is? And it's like, oh, random question or whatnot. I'm like, fucking guess it. And it's just fascinating listening to all these different guesses or whatnot. And then just bringing up this counter, no matter who you are, you're just going to look at this counter and be kind of mesmerized / tranquilized.
Bro,
then whatever. And then it'll get you politicized.
the debt counter, it's a seizure waiting to happen. Like there is a lot going on this page. Like you can like Social Security, the defense war debt or funds or whatever, the U.S. total debt, national debt, federal tax revenue. Like it's got a counter for everything.
So I grew up my entire life, my dad talking about the debt and how the economy eventually falls. Every empire falls, whatever. I would come back. All me and my dad do is argue about stuff, but not argue. I don't know how to explain it, but this national debt, and at what point does it matter? What does it actually mean? Oh, is it just that compared to the GDP or whatnot? But it's been fascinating knowing this my entire life. And now it's up to 28 trillion is what eventually is the point? At what point is that too much? And I think even understanding it, what it means into the context, it could mean a lot of different things, but it's just a good clock to have in the background is what I'm trying to say.
On usdebtclock.org, you can look up the state debt as well for every state.
And world debt.
For Michigan, it has food stamp recipients, debt per citizen, total debt, state's GDP, and state revenue. I mean, when your spending is more than your in-state revenue, that's not good, right?
I don't know. All right. That was number 2. And then number 1.
I'm on the edge of my seat here. Like, what counter is this? Or what? If it seems like it's gonna be numbers, but if it's not, I won't be disappointed. It is what it is.
Do you have any guesses?
Fuck. So population and debt. Maybe something with jobs? No, that's not as sexy. Total porn star counter? I don't know.
You know, it says something when your mind goes to sex. I am obviously the Tiger Woods of the friend group here.
We haven't had sex in like 10 days.
You haven't?
No, just due to the move-in stuff, living in a hotel, and like there's been a lot of chaos, and Kristen's working like past midnight some nights. So no, man, it's been like 10 days. So maybe that's why. Although, what's my excuse every other episode? I mean, let's roll with it for today, but next week, I don't know, man. We'll see.
Maybe next episode, I'll bring up my top fetishes. I don't want it to be too sex oriented. So I try to make it about, some animals, some birds, some maps, some counters. And it's not all about tits and ass and dongs and stuff. I don't want to what if you're not that interested in the sex? You don't want to listen that much.
Yeah. What you're saying is you're more complex than a one-trick pony.
I am, but I can talk about one topic 100% of the time if you want me to.
You're kind of like you're Derek Brunson after switching fight camps. Because before his only thing was drag knuckles and throw bombs. And now he's like a more well-rounded fighter.
Drop bombs. He should have came out to Bombs Over Baghdad.
Little outcast.
Mm-hmm. That was insensitive of me to say that, but I can say that because my girlfriend is from Iraq.
Why is it? Is that like a promoting war or something?
I don't know. I was just saying it.
Okay.
Because it's dropping bombs, people dying. It's probably not insensitive to anybody. So, my number 1. We can talk about war too. War and sex, man. And dinosaurs.
Is this like casualties then? War casualty?
No.
Some kind of war counter.
I will say this has nothing to do with World War II, reverse cowgirl, or Parasaurolophus. It is number 1 is this map that I love to use, especially when going kind of outdoors. And that is, it's not a counter. It is the light pollution map.
Okay.
I don't know why these made me think of the light pollution map. I haven't talked about this too much, but when I brought this up around people, they're usually fascinated by it. And that is, there are different maps, different scales or whatnot, but mine is the one I'm on right now is light pollution map.info. You could do different overlays. I'll change it to the 2019 one. And you can start to see where this light pollution is. And it's all east of whatever, the Great Plains or whatnot. And this basically will tell you where you can see like the Milky Way galaxy or whatnot. And I just think it's like it's like this weird feeling. You almost want to say spiritual, but I don't want to say that word because people will make fun of people who say that. But when you're up there and you're looking at the heavens, you see the Milky Way galaxy, you feel really small. We are made of stardust and all that stuff. There's just something, there's
Yeah,
something
I feel you.
magical about it. And you can get into all the different stuff, but being able to see that directly correlates to light pollution. So if you want to go to certain places to increase your odds, you can go to this map and check it out. One of the best places I've seen the stars or Milky Way galaxy was up in the it was by Headlands Park. It wasn't near, it was in, the lower peninsula of Michigan. And it wasn't at the dark sky. It was actually during a little bit west of it. But I just laid there like on a picnic table because we had a tent.
Wasn't that near Petoskey?
It's north of Petoskey. And out west seems to have some of the best spots. And it increases your chances. Just go and look. There's different, but for people in the northern hemisphere, because I went out to Utah and I was like, wow, I'm not seeing the Milky Way galaxy like how I was seeing it when I went to the Headlands Park or whatever, a Wilderness Park. I'm sorry, Wilderness State Park. It's because the big part, the meat aspect, Galactic Center, I think, is more prevalent in the summer months. So that's when you see it really milky. So I don't know.
What's the website? Light pollution map.
This is lightpollutionmap.info. I mean, you can just type in light pollution map and get to any. And you just see these cities. When I look out, and you could usually see planets more easily, especially some of the closer planets. But being able to look up and see the stars is, I don't know, it's something you got to do, man.
Yeah. I think we talked before, but like I remember just driving and periodically looking up and be like, holy shit, man, I'm tiny. Like just kind of, so it can be a little overwhelming. Like when you think about the vastness relative to how much space you individually take up.
I always say like the two things that will start getting you in a different place are the two topics are time and space. Now use whatever they're the same, whatnot, whatever you want to say. It's just it's just fascinating where you start feeling like meaningless, meaningful, whatever you want to talk about, philosophical aspects. But my brother was in the Navy and my older brother, my younger brother's in the Marines. And I'm nothing. I was a little BJJ, MMA, stuff like that. But he said and he's like an amateur astronomist, I guess you would say. He knows a lot of stuff, gets the telescope. And he said the best place he saw the sky was when he was on a ship and he was in the Pacific Ocean. And he said the lights from the ship, I don't know if they weren't on that much or not, because that's more like localized light. And he was just looking up, walking. And he said at the end of the ship, I don't know if there was like a net, but a cable. Mm-hmm. And he said he almost went over the edge of the ship while he was looking up at the sky. He felt like the biggest idiot, and he just caught himself and started tipping over and held onto that cable and kept himself up. And he's like, yeah, there's certain guys on watches. He started explaining or whatnot, but he's like, if I would have went over, I might've been done in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
I feel like being on like a ship like that in the middle of the ocean would be one of the most surreal experiences ever. Cause like, you're surrounded by complete vastness. And the ocean is terrifying to me.
Have you been on a cruise?
Yes. But it was the Alaskan cruise. We stayed near the shore. It felt like the entire time based on our trajectory. But
Could you
like,
see? You probably couldn't see the shore, right? I mean,
no,
sometimes.
no, you couldn't see it.
So
Only
you
from
didn't feel that vastness that you're not near anything.
so I felt more comfortable. Now, when we were there, luckily I was buzzed, but while we were out to sea, the kitchen caught on fire.
Whoa. How,
Yeah.
like, did they announce it overhead? Did you see it?
So the captain was, I think he was German, but he had a really thick accent. And we're all sitting there hanging out, like sipping mimosas and stuff. Speaker comes on. And then I forget who heard. They're like, wait a minute, what? Did you just hear that? And we're like, what? And like, oh, the kitchen's on fire. And I don't know, like I got a mimosa. I look around. No one cares. And I'm like, oh, it must be fine. Like I just kept on drinking my drink and didn't really worry about it. And like they addressed it somehow.
So like the Titanic. I just make up my own word. The Titanic, or is it just a play on tits? The Titanic, like the band was just playing the violin. You just went down with the mimosa. Just that's the way you wanted to go, huh?
Now, if I did one of those cruises where because like the cruises will kind of switch continents after the season's over.
Yeah, like a repositioning cruise.
And like usually they're discounted, like they're kind of inexpensive, but you cross the full ocean. That one, just thinking about it and knowing there's no shore nearby, there's no helicopter close, there's no this, that would kind of trip me out a little bit, man.
Okay. I've been on quite a few cruises, and a little fun fact about me is that I will pick up the accent of whoever is the cruise director and announces stuff overhead. So whatever that accent is, I somehow by the end of the cruise talk like that guy. And it just happens naturally. It's like the one time I used to call this Chinese food place and I didn't realize I hung up. And she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you said that." And I'm like, "What?" And you said broccoli. And I'm like, "What?" And I think it's just something like sometimes I'll try to do it. Sometimes I won't. I remember this Australian guy, and then it takes like a week or two to wear off after I come home. But it's been a while since I've been on a cruise. So who knows if it's changed? Who knows if it'll stay?
Yeah, I talked about that recently. Like the cruise industry seems much different these days and moving forward.
One other thing I'll mention to that. Have you ever heard of Kon-Tiki?
No.
So Kon-Tiki is a documentary that I watch so many different stuff that I think I rewatched it, but it's a 1950 documentary. And I want to say it's rather famous.
Is it Kontiki?
No, it's Kontiki, Kon-Tiki. And it's about these guys who take this ship, almost like the South Pacific ships, and they sail it from like, Peru all the way over to the islands, like the Polynesian islands. And they use the different currents or winds, and he talks about it a little bit. And they're just on this ship. And it's pretty wild and fascinating that they did this in 1947. And the ship would go so fast that go ahead.
The movie's from 1950.
Yes. And it looks like it was about the expedition led in 1947. Shit took a lot longer back then. Oh, it looks like it was the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature. Damn.
There's a bunch of Kon-Tikis on here. There's one from 2012 as well. Is it a documentary or is it a fiction movie? It looks like a fiction movie.
No, I've never seen the Kon-Tiki movie, so I am not signing off on it.
It's rated 7.2 on IMDb, so it can't be terrible.
Oh, really? Maybe I need to watch it.
I bet you will see it after hearing that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Now, next week, top 5 Kon-Tiki movie moments.
Oh, God.
I got to start watching movies for the show, so I have movie content.
Okay. Yeah, because all I bring up is shit documentaries or mafia movies, right? Or war,
Well,
if we want to talk
and
about war.
I watched fucking Queen's Gambit. Everybody's watching that. It's the same old. I got basic bitch stuff I'm sharing.
But that's what everybody wants to hear about. They want to hear
true.
about no goddamn Kon-Tiki. They're like, what the hell? Turn this shit off. Here's just talk about tits again or talk about Queen's Gambit.
Correct. You're right.
So,
You're right.
yeah, you got to almost stop me. They're like, lorikeet, get this guy out of here. I want to hear pound for pound who's best. I don't want to hear no shit about a rainbow lorikeet. But this guy, they talked about when he swam from the ship, that they had to be attached because that boat, that little tiny ass boat with sails, and the current would move so fast that they almost got lost, and that guy would have been gone forever. So they had to stay connected to the boat when they got off to swim. You thought, oh, I could take the sails down, I could just swim, and all of a sudden that boat would travel so fast. And they were on it for so long. I'm fascinated by that kind of shit.
I might watch this documentary. It looks pretty interesting.
Like I always think,
it's on Amazon Prime.
I did watch it on that. Like I'll just go on these kicks where I'll just start watching a bunch of different shit. Who knows what I was watching before this?
To your point about I've given up hope. So no worries there. We're good.
Giving up hope for what?
I no expectations.
Oh,
so maybe that's a better way to phrase it.
I'm kind of weird in that I tend to side on informational. Like if you start dressing it up, I'm like, stop. Give me like raw data.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's sexy, but that depends on what kind of mood I'm in. If I'm into you could dress it up or whatnot. So I did, on a side note, I watched Queen's Gambit.
Oh, you did?
I kind of watched it side by side with True Detective season 1.
How far are you into it?
I'm done.
All right.
I already masturbated to her pictures, so I'm done.
Yeah, she I don't know. She has a little bit of weird sex appeal to me, man.
It's just like any guy. We're all the same. We eventually fall in love with the lead actress.
It's true.
She's so freaking cute. She got the... Next thing you know, I'm looking at her up. Oh, to the Queen's Gambit, and then look up her name and then type in body, then type in boobs, then type in whatever. I'm like a 16-year-old pervert.
Yeah, I'm so because of the movie, we've had no TV for almost 2.5 weeks. Just this things around. Kristen's gone all day. We were in a hotel for a week, so I'm behind on everything. I've been watching UFC events on my computer at my desk.
Damn.
By myself.
So why? I thought Queen's Gambit was some kind of, I don't know, like sister show of The Crown and some chess. Mm-hmm. Why didn't anyone fucking tell me it had to do with the Cold War? Why didn't anyone tell me it had anything to do, like the Cold War was incorporated into the show? If you want to get me to watch a show, you got to know what to sell. Nobody told me this.
I think I've been watching it too, Buzz, because this is news to me.
All this Soviet stuff, and I will say I did.
Oh yes. We just got to the part with the Soviets.
Anytime Soviet Union, I'm sold, man. Look at that. Whatever, 1918, 1923, whenever fucking Red October, all that was till 1991. I was like, oh, okay. I will watch this. So we started watching it, and we kind of go back and forth as episodes from True Detective season 1 and then this. And it's kind of a little bit unfair to Queen's Gambit to watch True Detective season 1 next to it.
Yeah.
Especially with Alexandra.
Yeah.
But I try to separate it, and I think I fairly do that. But I will like how they had an opportunity of like the chess guy defecting and playing into somewhat what actually happened in the Cold War, but almost there's always like political propaganda. And I kind of like that they didn't play into it. And
Mhm.
at the very end, spoiler alert, and there's no spoiler here, she goes and plays with the Russian people who aren't politicized. And I think that's rather important, is that all this political shit and all that is politics, just like real American politics. It's almost a sight fucking fantasy that people are living in, that almost everybody is exactly the same and just kind of going about their day. Like, I got to fucking get to work. I got to do this. I got to do that. Those people worried about bread and whatnot, especially early communism or whoever. So I
Mhm.
kind of did like that, even though it was sexy, they went away from it. And I think I got what they were saying. I don't know if that
Yeah.
made sense or not.
I don't know.
But do you know at the end where she goes there and she leaves the car with the CIA guy and eventually just goes and plays chess with the people at the park?
I it's too buzz, man. Last time we're on like vacation mode. Like I don't remember shit, man.
So is it like your drinking increase towards the latter portion of the season, or does it increase where like you're like, dog, I'm not going to remember the last 15 minutes of the episode?
I don't remember past the janitor really.
The best character. So when she says, "Oh, who have you ever loved?" I said the janitor. I wish she would have secretly loved him, you know?
And you mean
Like
Matyshenko though, right?
this father figure or whatnot. What'd you say?
You mean Matyshenko.
Dude, I'm dead. That's all I got.
Let's get the fuck out of here.